Morning guys! For our starter today, I want us to get used to this fraction wall. Have a look at it. It should be in your pack, or I've attached it to the parent mail as well. Let's have a look. You can see the bars across the top. Now these are like bar models all together, or you can say they're bricks in a wall. Right across the top you can see there's one hole, and you've got one in that bar. Underneath you've got halves, and then thirds, and then quarters, and then fifths, and so on, all the way down to twelfths.
Okay, so you're going to need 3 posters up around the room today. You're going to need a half, a quarter, and a third. Have your fraction wall in front of you. Using a ruler can help you find the equivalents. For example, if you see here, you've got a half is the same as 2 quarters, where this line meets the same part here. So you can use a ruler to help you find that equivalence. So keep this in front of you. You're going to use this the whole time, and I'm going to give you a fraction and you are going to run to the right poster. Is it equivalent to a half, a quarter, or a third? And in between, come back to your fractions wall and use it to help you with the answers. Okay, get set up.
Now you're ready, let's go. Okay, 2 quarters, what would that be equivalent to? Go. Well done, it's a half. 3/9, what would that be equivalent to? Go. Well done, it's a third. What about 3/6? What's that equivalent to? Go. Brilliant, it's a half. 3/12, what's that equivalent to? Go. Well done, it's a quarter. About 6/12, what's that equivalent to? Check on your wall. Go. Well done, that's a half. What about 2/6? What's that equivalent to? Go. Well done, it's a third. What about 4/12? What's that equivalent to? Go. Well done, that's also a third. What about 3/12? What's that equivalent to? Off you go. Well done, it's a quarter. 5/10, what's that equivalent to? Go. Yes, it's a half. 2/8, what's that equivalent to? Go. Yeah, that's a quarter. What about 4/8? What's that equivalent to? Go. Good job, it's a half. Well done. Good work on looking at the fraction wall today. Hope you're warmed up. For today's lesson, we're going to continue our work on equivalent fractions. So the big picture is the same. We need to understand that equivalent fractions are the same size. They help us when we need to add and subtract fractions with different denominators, and they help us to understand how to simplify fractions. What's the key vocabulary for the lesson? Equal to, equivalent, fraction, equal sections, divided, number line, and bar model. Today we're going to continue our work on equivalent fractions. We're going to be using number lines to help us to understand. Let's look at this number line here. It starts with 0 and ends with 1. If I was to divide it into 2 equal sections, we'd have a line here, and we show that that is a half. So this point here is half the line, and the second is the second half of the line. This point here shows 1/2, and the second part shows 2 halves, or the whole thing. Now let's have a look at this number line. I'm going to divide this equally into 4 sections. To count across, you've got 4 equal sections. Each one is worth 1/4. Let's count along the number line. We have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then 4/4, or the whole line. Let's have a look at this number line. I'm going to divide this equally into 3 sections. Each section is worth a third. You have 1/3 there, 2/3, and then 3/3, or the whole line. And then let's have a look at this one here. I'm going to divide this equally into 9 sections. So it would be in ninths, and it would look like this. What do you notice about any of the number lines? What's the same? What's different? Pause the video and have a think now. What did you think? I had a look. Each of the number lines start with 0 and end in 1. Each have sections that are of equal sizes in each number line. I also saw that half was the same as 2/4, and a third was the same as 3/9. What was different? There's a different number of equal sections in each number line. Let's look at a different representation. Have a look at this bar model here. You can see that it's divided into 4 equal pieces. That means that each section is worth 1/4. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 for the whole bar. Let's have a look at that on a number line to compare. So if we've got no parts of the bar shaded, that would be 0 on the number line. Let's shade one part on the number line, that would look like 1/4. If we were to shade 2 sections on the number line there, it would look like 2/4. If we were to shade 3 sections, that is 3/4 on the number line there. And then if we were to shade the whole bar, the 4th section, that is 4/4 or 1/2, the whole bar, the whole number line. What happens if I divide each section into 2 equal pieces? I now have 8 equal sections, or eighths. Let's look at that on the number line. If I was to colour 2 of those eighths, you can see 2/8 on the number line there, and you can see it's directly above the 1/4. 2/8 is equivalent to 1/4. Let's shade another 2. We've now shaded 4/8, and it goes on the number line there. 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4. Let's shade another 2. I've now shaded 6/8. 6/8 goes there on the number line, and it is equivalent to 3/4. If I was to shade the last 2, that would be the whole bar and the whole number line. 8/8 would be equivalent to 4/4. Let's go back to the bar being divided into 4 equal sections. If I was to divide each section into 3 equal parts, what would my fractions be now? That's right, 12ths. Let's have a look at those. If I was to shade 3/12 on the bar model and then put that on the number line, it would look like that there. 3/12 is equivalent to 1/4. I'm going to shade another 3. This time I've got 6/12. 6/12 is equivalent to 2/4. What would be my next one? That's right, 9/12, and it is equivalent to 3/4. And if I was to shade the last 3, then that would be the whole bar, the whole number line. So 12/12 is equivalent to 4/4, or 1/2. Let's go back to the bar model being divided into 4 equal pieces. I'm going to put the fractions above on the number line, so you can see the fractions between the bar model and the number line. Now, instead of dividing the bar model this time, I can divide the number line too. I'm going to have a look at dividing each section into 4. If I do this, that would mean that the number line is divided into 16 pieces, or 16ths. You can then count along that number line. There's 1/16, 2/16, 3/16, and 4/16. You can see that 4/16 is the same as 1/4. If I was to do that again, you can see that 2/4 would take you to 8/16. What would it be on the next one if there were 3 sections shaded? That's right, it would be 12/16. Let's have a look at all of these together. You can see the quarters, the eighths, the twelfths and the sixteenths. Let's have a look at 1/4 along the line. You can see that with that line there, that 1/4 is the same as 2/8, 3/12 and 4/16. What do you notice about the numerator and denominator in this? Can you spot any patterns? Do you know what the next one would be in the sequence? Pause the video now and have a think. Well done, that's right, it would be 5/20. Let's explore other equivalent fractions. Let's have a look at this number line here. I'm going to divide it into 5 equal pieces. What would the fractions be on the number line? Well done, fifths. So we can see here we've got 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5, and then 5/5 or the whole. Now, let's have a look at dividing one of these sections into 2. What would each section be worth then? That's right, tenths. We can extend that along the number line here like that. And we can then put the tenths underneath. You can see that 1/5 is equivalent to 2/10. And so on. If you had a look at 4/5, that would be equivalent to 8/10. Let's continue this a little bit further and let's have a look at dividing the fifths into 3 equal sections. If we were to extend that out, how many pieces would the number line be in then? That's right, 15. And that would be the same as 15ths. Okay, let's complete that there. Now, have a look. What is each fifth equivalent to on the number line? Pause the video and have a think. Well done. 1/5 is equivalent to 3/15. Look carefully at the numerator and denominator. Can you see any of those patterns? Let's have a look at a puzzle together. This number line is divided into 4 equal sections. 5/12 is halfway between that blue circle and the yellow star. Draw an arrow to where the yellow star is on the number line. And what fraction is represented by the star? Pause the video and have a think now. How did you get on? So you can see that that number line is divided into 4 equal sections, so that would be 1/4 for each section. The blue circle is 1/4. Now it says 5/12 is halfway between the blue circle and a yellow star. If we've got 12s here, we need to be able to divide this number line into 12 equal sections. To do this, each quarter would need to be divided into 3 parts. This way, we can now find 5/12 on the number line. There it is. Now it says 5/12 is halfway between the circle and the yellow star. So if there are 2 12ths between the circle and 5/12, like that, there must be 2 12ths the other side. So this is where the star would go. If you continue to count along the number line, then the star is worth 7/12. Good job. Now it's your turn. Remember to do 1 chili's worth of work depending on how you've got on with the lesson today. Either do chili 1, chili 2 or chili 3. If you haven't got the sheet, you can just say how many things you're going to shade or jot your own bar down on a piece of paper. This question is suitable for chili 1. It says shade the bar models to represent the fractions. Shade 1/2 of the bar model, and for B, shade 2/4 of the bar model. Pause the video and have a go now. Then can you shade 3/6 of the bar model? What do you notice with all 3 of those bar models? Can you write another fraction that is equivalent to half? Pause the video and have a go now. This question is for chili 1 or 2. It says shade 2/3 of each bar model. You've got A and B. Pause the video and have a go now. And then you've got C. It says use your answers to part A, B and C to complete the equivalent fractions. 2/3 is the same as how many 6 is the same as 8 is the same as so many 15ths. Pause the video and have a go now. This question is suitable for Chile 1 and 2. Teddy makes this fraction, so he's got 1/3 shaded there. Mo says he can make an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 9. Is Mo correct? If so, what is the fraction that he can make? If not, can you explain why? Pause the video and have a go now. This question is suitable for Chile 2 and 3. It says find the missing numbers. On A, you've got 14ths above the number line and 7ths below the number line. In B, you've got 15ths above the number line and 5ths below. Pause the video and have a go now. This question is suitable for Chile 3. It says here is the number line. What fraction is each shape pointing to? A circle is halfway between the triangle and the square. Draw the circle on the number line. And then for C, Eva says the circle is pointing to 9 out of 21. Do you agree with Eva? Show how you work this out. Pause the video and have a go now. Here's a bit of a challenge for you guys, Chile 3. It says use the clues to work out which fraction is being described for each shape. Your first clue, my denominator is 6 and my numerator is half of my denominator. So which shape is that? Another clue for another shape says I am equivalent to 4/12. Your next clue says I'm equivalent to 1 whole. And your last clue says I am equivalent to 2/3. See if you can work out what fraction each shape is. Pause the video and have a go now. Great work today, guys. Let's have a look at our answers in our check section. So for A, you'll have one section of the bar shaded, and for B, you'll have 2 sections of the bar shaded. For C, you'd have 3 sections of the bar shaded. What did you notice? They are all equivalent. Well done. What other fraction could we write that is equivalent to a half? I've done a few, so I've got 1/2, 2/4, 3/6, 4/8, 5/10, 6/12, and 7/14. You could continue going on the pattern, but as long as your numerator is half of that of the denominator, you will have written a half. Well done. Let's have a look at this one. Shade 2/3 of each bar model. So for A, you would have shaded 4 sections. For B, you would have shaded 8 sections. In order for you to answer D, you needed to split C into 15 equal pieces, 15ths, and then you would have coloured 2/3 along the bar like that, like my yellow part there. Then you would have used all of your answers to be able to work out D. So 2/3 was the same as 4/6 in A, then 4/6 was the same as 8/12 in B, and then you can see there that 10/15 is the same as 2/3 in C. Good job. Let's have a look at this one. Mo is correct. He could make 3/9, which is equivalent to the 1/3 that Teddy made. Let's have a look at this. Find the missing numbers. The missing numbers were 6/14, 10/14, 12/14 along the top, 2/7, 5/7, 6/7, and 7/7 along the bottom. For B, the missing parts were 6/15, 9/15, and 12/15, and the last one was 18/15. Let's have a look at this one. Here is a number line. What fraction is each shape pointing to? The triangle was 1/7 and the square was 5/7. If you were to draw the circle halfway between the triangle and the square, it would be there on the number line. Now, did you agree with Eva? Yes, she was right. If you were to continue that pattern on, you have 3/7, that's where the circle is sat on the number line. You could then look at it 6/14, and then 9 out of 21. So she was right. Good job. How did you get on with this one? So it said my denominator is 6 and my numerator is half of my denominator. So that would be 3/6. And the number line is divided into 6 equal parts. So for 3/6, that would be the blue circle. Let's look at the second clue. It says I'm equivalent to 4/12. The number line is divided into 6 equal pieces, sixths. To make it into twelfths, we'd have to divide each section into 2 equal pieces. If we were then to count in twos along the number line, you would see that 4 twelfths would be the triangle. Let's have a look at the third clue. It says I'm equivalent to 1 whole. 1 whole, you can see there's 1 on the number line there, so 1 whole is the pentagon. You could also say that that's 6 sixths. And then let's have a look at the final clue. It says I'm equivalent to 2 thirds. Now, if we were to make the number line into thirds, then you could see that 1 third is the triangle and 2 thirds is the square. Good job, guys. I checked Times Tables Rockstars on Tuesday the 2nd of February for most coins collected over the last 7 days. So well done to Izzy and Thomas in 4S, Poppy and Austin in 4EP, Emily and Rose in 4M, and Riley and Micah in 4B. Here are your dojo points. Well done, guys. You can email me your photos, videos, or work to this address. Great work today, guys. See you tomorrow.